So renting versus buying is one of the most common questions that comes up. And of course, when you ask a real estate agent this question, you're going to expect a certain response, but I wanted to go ahead and give you all the information I could to help you determine which option is going to be better for you. Hey guys, Donavan here. If you're new to the channel, I am a local real estate agent and I put out these videos to share with you exactly what you can expect if you're moving to the area. We talk about the best schools, the best neighborhoods, and all the things there are to do here in Gainesville. If you don't want to miss a thing, make sure you start by clicking the subscribe button and also click the little bell so you get notified anytime I put out a new video. Now, owning a home can honestly be great. Having the ability to make changes, paint things, do upgrades, and make those improvements that you want to make has a real value that renting just doesn't have. But keep in mind, in addition to all those great changes and improvements you make, a home also comes with a big price tag, and it also comes with constant maintenance and upkeep. And oftentimes those issues come up at the worst possible time. Of course, before you buy that new home, you would do a home inspection, but it's not impossible that a functioning system like an air conditioning or something similar could pass an inspection and now maybe 6 months later or so stop working on you. Then you're stuck spending thousands of dollars on an air conditioning instead of doing those fun upgrades and improvements you wanted to do. And actually, that's really what happened to us. We bought our home about 5 years ago. Everything looked good at the inspection, no issue. The house was a foreclosure though, so a lot of the plumbing and essential items weren't used a whole lot. Within about 3 months, we realized the whole septic system and drain field had to be replaced, and about $8,000 later, that was money that we did not plan on spending. Now on the flip side, if you are renting in either of those situations, all you would have to do is call the landlord or the apartment complex, let them know what's going on, and rest easy knowing that you're not going to have to cover either of those bills. And that's really a huge benefit to renting because those sort of issues will come up. It's not uncommon for a dishwasher to stop working or a toilet to get clogged. And in those situations, again, all you have to do is make a simple phone call, but you're not going to be paying any extra bills. Now, another big benefit to renting is going to be the current real estate market right now. If you are looking to buy a home, it is a very difficult market for buyers to find a property that they absolutely love and actually win the offer. But on the flip side, if you're just looking to rent, you can find an apartment that will make you happy in a short period of time without too much of a headache. Now, a real life example of how difficult this housing market is just last week I was working with a customer. We ended up submitting an offer that was $12,000 over the asking price of $393,000. And this was a highly qualified buyer. They were putting 20% down. We shortened the inspection period. We really did everything they were comfortable with to submit a strong offer, and they still did not get it. So that's just one example of what's going on in the market here. And that's a difficult situation because every buyer has to draw a line somewhere with what they're comfortable doing and what they're not comfortable doing. And unfortunately, there are a lot of buyers that are willing to go to extreme situations and they end up getting the house. Now, I will say after more than 10 years of selling real estate here in Gainesville, this is the most difficult market I've seen for buyers in a very long time. But even with that said, everyone I've worked with has ended up finding the home that they want, won the offer, and been extremely happy. And the current market climate is an important consideration to factor in whether you're deciding to buy or rent. A lot of people I've talked to have looked at their finances and looked at the market and decided renting for this period of time is going to be the best option for them. In addition to price, the next major consideration to look at is going to be the mortgage rates. This is often a huge deciding factor on whether you'll rent or buy, and currently mortgage rates are up hovering around 4%, which has already increased much quicker than the majority of people expected, and it will likely only go up from here. Now, don't be the square peg trying to fit in the round hole. If the finances aren't there and the numbers don't work, don't force it. Renting is really not a bad option, and most people are going to do far better if they decide to rent for a year, get more financially stable, and then decide to buy a home. If you're still on the fence and trying to decide if you're financially ready to buy a home, the next best step is going to be to go ahead and reach out to a mortgage lender in your area to talk through some of the numbers and who can share exactly what you can expect when it comes to the finances of buying a home. Now, let me share a few critical things to consider if you are financially ready to buy a home. Buying a home can be stressful, especially in this current market. Make sure you and your family are up for the challenge of making an offer on a home that you've fallen in love with and then finding out the seller went with another offer. Unfortunately, this does happen, but keep in mind there are more houses coming on the market daily. And that's actually why a lot of the buyers I work with have decided to keep the buying process semi-private. It can be really difficult emotionally to get attached to a house and then have it not work out, but what compounds that stress is when your children and other family members are on that emotional roller coaster with you. So if you haven't heard of the 1% rule, it's really a great piece of advice for homeowners. What you'll want to do is set aside 1% of your home value every single year so you're prepared for regular home maintenance. For example, if you have a $400,000 house, ideally you'd be setting aside a little more than $300 per month, because owning a home can throw many unexpected challenges at you, but if you have some type of emergency fund, that can really simplify things and protect you when the inevitable happens. So let's face it, over the last few years, everyone has been spending way more time at home, and because of that, that's led people to either do home improvements and renovations, or ultimately decide they just want to move into a bigger house or a completely different area. And with so many people relocating, especially to a place like Florida, the housing market just has not been able to keep up with demand. And this has resulted in an extremely strong seller's market, which means there are far more buyers than available homes. This causes the majority of homes to receive multiple offers and typically sell over the asking price. So as long as you know what to expect going into it and you're prepared for a bit of a roller coaster, you're far more likely to adapt and end up with the home that you really want. Now let's talk about the obvious. Where does your money go when you buy versus rent? If you're like me, you've probably heard many people say renting is just wasting money, which I honestly completely disagree with. Spending money on a necessity like shelter, whether you're buying or renting, is not going to be wasted. But obviously the difference is when you buy a home, that money is being stored in an asset that historically goes up in value and will benefit you in the long term. What's really interesting though is for more than 10 years now, I've been hearing people tell me that they're gonna wait to buy a home until the market slows down. Had any of those people actually bought when they made that statement, or even within a few years, they potentially could have accumulated tens of thousands of dollars in equity with that home purchase. Timing the market is a really risky game to play. Instead of looking backwards though, try to look ahead towards the future. Interest rates have already started to increase, but as I've mentioned, they'll most likely only continue to go up from here. You are still likely better off to lock in a rate where they are now versus waiting to see what will happen. So I'm really curious, down in the comments, let me know, what's your biggest concern around buying a home right now? Now, if you've hung in there with me this long, let's look at your situation and see, is buying or renting gonna be better? First, you'll wanna ask yourself, do you expect to be in this home at least 3 years? If you plan on being in this new home in this new area for less than 3 years, go ahead and put a tally on the rent side. Next, do you have at least 10% saved up going towards your down payment, your closing cost, and all the other fees associated with buying a home? If not, go ahead and put another tally on the rent side. Next, do you have stable employment that you don't expect to change anytime soon lined up? Again, if that answer is no, put another tally on the rent side. Now lastly, in addition to that 10% figure, do you have another 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up that you could use in an emergency fund? Now, if the majority of those answers were not yeses, renting right now may be the best option, but keep in mind, all of those questions are not absolute requirements for buying, and everyone's situation is completely different. So you need to look at your situation, your finances, and your family to decide what's going to be the best option for you. There is one other option that we actually haven't even discussed, and it may be the best option for you in your situation, and that is going to be short-term rentals. If you want to learn more about short-term rentals and what Gainesville has to offer, go ahead and watch this video where I share with you exactly what you can expect in the short-term rental market.